Matt Bernie, you're taking a look at the mandatory payout of the Rainbow Six down at Gulfstream Park on Saturday afternoon. Races 7 through 12. Scheduled post time for the 7th race. The first leg of the Rainbow is 3:07 Eastern. This is a great wager, and all the wagers down at Gulfstream Park. You can play all of them over on DRF Bets. I'd encourage you to do so. And I'd also encourage you to use DRF Ticketmaker when you put in your plays. The beautiful thing, you make your selections, A, B's, and C's. You click that Bet Now button. It goes right into DRF Bets. All taken care of. You don't need to punch individual tickets. It's all just absolutely perfect. It's a very nice, convenient way of doing things. For those of you that are new to these kind of videos, pretty straightforward. I don't like giving out a ticket maker play because at the end of the day, you're the handicapper. You're the one that can go through and make decisions. I'm going to give out some opinions of my own on certain horses. You agree with them, you disagree with them. You go through and adjust your plays accordingly. At the end of the day, I'd rather not just go out there and spit out a ticket and say, oh, this is what to do. No. You guys are smart enough to know what's good, what's not, what you agree with, what you disagree with. So we're going to kick things off with the 7th race, the first leg of this thing, maiden 12-5 claimer. This is a race that, again, I think you're probably better suited spreading because, look, these low-level claiming races are usually a little bit hit or miss. Some chaos can ensue. 4 horses that I think are a little bit interesting, the 2, the 4, the 5, and the 12. I'll start with the 12, the horse that I actually made the best bet on out of the gate this week. But I kind of threw the caveat out there that this is a little bit of a price play. If you're playing the Rainbow, maybe you want to kick things off potentially on a high note. Captain Cholo, brethren with the first-time starters, only about 6%. This one debuted back on January the 20th. Sloppy sealed track, was bet all the way down to 4-1 for David Fox. Showed a little bit of speed and faded. That was a day where you absolutely needed to be on the lead. He never quite got there. I just think this is an interesting spot here. Second-time starter, hopefully getting a fast main track, and also you get Irad Ortiz aboard. He's one that I'm going to be using in here. I also think you can use the 2, O'Danny Bear, first-time gelding from Mike DiPaolo. I thought, fair enough effort. Most recently showed a little bit of speed and faded. That was the first time on the main track. Now turns back from a mile to 6.5. The morning line favorite, the number 4, Valid Exchange, a horse that I don't necessarily love, but in a race like this is the fastest so far, and I can understand anyone that just looks at it and says this is the most likely winner. At the same time, I don't know that I'd be taking a hard stand on this horse. And then also the number 5, Drill Down Dude, is a first-time starter for Ralph Nix. Tyler Gaffalione has the mount. You take a look at some of the numbers. The Dam has thrown a few solid winners at this point. Early winners specifically, a couple of 2-year-old winners. Drill is a sire, only 21 first-time starters. 3 of them were winners, though. This is a horse at 8-1 that I'd also throw in there. We move on to the 8th race, the second leg of this sequence. Non-winners are one other than a filly and mare race for Florida breds. The 2, the 5, and the 9 were the ones that I took a look at. The 2, Reagan's Odyssey, first off the claim for Aubrey Mirage, going out for owner Mike Napoli. Red Sox hero. Let's do it, huh? 8-5 on the morning line. I think this horse fits in here from a figure standpoint. And also, you have to respect the fact this is just a blue-collar type. 39 races, 7 times a winner, 17 other times getting a piece. Just a blue-collar type that shows up and runs, a professional racehorse. The number 5 is Hera. Now, Hera, I think, is an interesting runner. Probably if I needed to make a pick, this would be the one. Second off the bench for John Kimmel. Luis Saez retains the mount. I think you do get a forward move here, second off the bench, considering that layoff between early October and late December. That's significant enough where this one probably is going to need one before you see the best. I think the rust is shaken off. 9-2 on the morning line. I think it's a very square price and one that you should be considering. And then the number 9, Dynatown. Dynatown goes out from Mark Cassie. Johnny V with the mount, stretches out in distance from 5 furlongs off of a little bit of a layoff. Nearly got the job done. It's always a little bit dangerous looking at those closing sprinters and just assuming that it's going to translate to longer distances. However, in this case, breaking from the outside, I'll take a shot here and include this horse. 5-2 on the morning line. I think from an individual standpoint is a little bit light, but I think definitely one to consider as far as the Rainbow is concerned. Race number 9, maiden special weight race on the turf, going a mile. For 3-year-olds, 4 horses that caught my eye. The 4, the 9, and the 12 will start on the outside with the 12. Dance and Dance is a horse that I'm just very, very intrigued with. When was the last time you saw a Pletcher horse with Velasquez aboard going out for owners Derek Smith and Michael Tabor, debuting at 35-1? Well, that's exactly what happened here. This is a daughter of Verrazano. She showed unbelievable speed early on. If you go back and watch the tape, she was pulling. Johnny V had hammerlock on her. Just couldn't get her to relax. The fact that she faded as badly as she did, I'm really not holding that against her. She set a wicked pace. The blinkers come off, but she still could very well be the speed in this race. And from the outside, I think Velasquez is probably going to want to establish some position. I just think she's interesting. If you believe the 20-1, maybe she comes down a little bit, but I would hate to get knocked out by a Todd horse at Gulfstream that's going to pay $20 plus. I'm going to definitely be using some Dance and Dance. The 9 Can't Buy Me Love. I think this is a little bit of an interesting runner. The debut was nice, nearly got up there at odds of 9-1. Connectivity, the winner that day for Chad, I think is a really nice filly. This filly right here is a half to a horse called Earring, who's a multiple graded stakes place turf router going longer, 1.25 1.5 kind of races. Goes out for motion. I think she makes plenty of sense in here. And then also I brought up Chad with Connectivity. You got to look at Claus, the number 4 horse. Goes out for Juddmonte, a Juddmonte homebred. Speightstown about 12.5% with the first-time turf runners. Both siblings are winners to date, but they both came on dirt. So we'll find out about Claus debuting on the turf. Take a look at that work. 2 starts back on January the 26th at Payson, 47-4 for a half mile. We move on to the 10th race, the 4th leg of this rainbow sequence. This is going to be arguably, I think, the most anticipated race of the day at Gulfstream, and I know there is stakes action on Saturday. But this race right here, it seems like this time of year, NHC is going on this weekend. Good luck to those of you out in Vegas. There's always one 3-year-old race going 2 turns, usually an N1X, that seems to end up being a very, very live race that produces not just Triple Crown hopefuls, but horses that can run in the Kentucky Derby. And most eyes are going to be on the number 3 Global Campaign, going out for Stanley Huff. This horse right here was very impressive in the career debut, winning at first asking, bet like a good thing down to even money at 7/8 of a mile. You look at the pedigree, by Curlin out of an AP Indy mare. You take a look at it a little bit deeper. This one's a half to Bolt Doro. We know what he was capable of. Half to Sonic Mule, who was successful at Gulfstream. This horse, I think, is going to be a single on a lot of more budget-oriented tickets, and I really can't argue. I think this horse makes plenty of sense. If you're going to use anyone else, I got to go back to my son, Standard Deviation, because I understand he didn't run a lick in the Breeders' Cup. But I thought his Breeders' Futurity was actually better than it looks, given the trip, given the way the race unfolded. The blinkers come off, and maybe it's just one of those instances that he needs to figure some things out. I think 2 turns is what he wants. I think he's ultimately going to be okay. Maybe this is a little bit too soon, but he's one that I definitely would be considering here if you are going to use other horses than just the heavy favorite Global Campaign. Move on to the 11th. It's the El Prado. 7.5 on the turf. This is another race. It's a big full field. I believe there's 13 signed on. There is 13. I'm going to give you a horse that I think makes plenty of sense at a shorter price. And then a horse that I think is very intriguing at a big, big number. The number 5 is the one that makes, I think, plenty of sense. And especially even at the 9-2 morning line, that might be stealing if you get that. Mr. Cub. He's 4 of 17 lifetime. I know he's never won here at Gulfstream, but you got to go back to that run back on December the 22nd and say, well, maybe he should have gotten the job done. No excuse really to lose. He lost to a horse called Bricks and Mortar, and unless you've been living under a rock, you know that Bricks and Mortar, who defeated Mr. Cub by a half length that day, all he did was come back and win the Pegasus World Cup turf. Mr. Cub, if he runs back to that 101, I think he is strictly the horse to beat in here. And he might be a square number. I think 9-2 is very, very fair. He's one I'm absolutely using in the sequence. And heck, he's one, if you're just looking to play the race individually, Mr. Cub is one that you should be considering. If you're looking for a bit of a bomber, how about the horse drawn just to the inside, the number 4 Siding Spring? Siding Springs had an interesting career. Started off like he could be the hotness, like he could be something as far as a Derby contender was concerned. Ultimately, they went over to the turf with him where he happened to debut. His first 2 starts were there. And he's been a useful horse throughout his career. He's never been a superstar, but he has races on his page that I think are better than maybe the numbers would indicate. I know he had a big pace to run at in the most recent run, but that was his first start off of a significant layoff. He came with a bid. He loves Gulfstream Park. Keep in mind, he has won 4 times in 18 lifetime starts. He's 3 for 4 over the grass at Gulfstream. He is 20-1 on the morning line. If you believe the raw time form number in that most recent run, the 117 compared to the 84 that Bayer assigned him, you take 20 off that 117, all of a sudden, Siding Spring doesn't look like a 20-1 shot. He looks more like a 5 or 6 or 7-1 shot. I'm definitely going to be using him at a big price. Then we get into the payoff leg. Hopefully you're still alive. Hopefully I'm still alive. It's a maiden special weight race, a mile on the grass. You have to start with the number 1, Cafe Americano. This one goes out for Chad. This is a very, very nicely bred horse, a son of daughter of Medaglia d'Oro. You take a look at the dam, Roxy Gap. She was a multiple graded stakes turf route winner. There's a lot to like here about this horse. And again, it's Chad. Maybe the inside is no bargain, but a short run into the first turn. Worst places to be. This one is owned by Peter Brandt. Usually when Chad and Brandt connect, Usually going to have some good things. Arad has the mount here. Some other horses that maybe if Chad doesn't get it done, maybe you want to consider. The 4, Del Capum, goes out for Norm Cassie, daughter of Uncle Mo, Lemon Drop Kid on the bottom. First time going out on the grass. Things haven't quite gone as planned because on the bottom half there was much more dirt as opposed to turf, but at the end of the day, this is one at a big price I would certainly be considering underneath. If you're playing with Ticketmaker, maybe a C. The 5, Sunnydale, I think is interesting. We talked about Medaglia d'Oro with the first-time turf runners. The Dam is a graded stakes winner going long on the turf. Medea, she won a race down at Monmouth Park. The career debut, I thought, all things considered, was actually pretty good. Showed a little bit of speed. There was a relatively hot pace. Timeform US had some good fractions listed there. Faded a little bit. 11-1 in the debut. Gaffel Leon now takes them out. I think you could do worse than take a shot with this one as well. The 11 horse, Lady Worthington for Wesley Ward. Johnny V has the mount. The Dam, Grade 1 winner or Group 1 winner down in Argentina. This is a daughter of Scat Daddy. Stretching out in distance, we'll find out how the additional ground goes. The first 2 starts leave a little bit to be desired, but I'd imagine you're going to see some speed from her. The 12, Silver Kitten, I think is one that you want to give an eye to. That most recent run off of a little bit of a layoff, over firm going at Gulfstream. Fine enough. Second off the bench for Danny Gargan. I think that can be a positive move. And don't rule out if the 13, Lady Rosalie, draws in for Rudy Brissett. I think this one's really interesting. The career debut, okay, didn't do a heck of a lot of running, took a little bit of money there, but the bigger piece for me is this is a daughter of Dubawi. And on the Dam side, this is the family of Summerfront. Summerfront, we know what he was capable of. He's a millionaire. There's also another couple stakes winners in there, so there's some really nice pedigree in there. Again, the post would be no bargain if she does draw in, but she's one. If she does get in, I would certainly be using her. She's 20-1 on the morning line. So there you have it, a down and dirty look at the Rainbow Six sequence down at Gulfstream Park on Saturday. It's all got to go. Whatever the pool ends up being, it's all going out. Races 7 through 12. Again, play with DRF bets and play with DRF Ticketmaker. Emphasize your opinions. Get after this thing. Try to make a score on Saturday afternoon. Schedule post time for Leg A, race number 7 down at Gulfstream. The maiden 12-5 claimer, 6.5 on the main track, 3:07 Eastern. Good luck.